Hello everyone, this is Mohammed Korbatli. I'm making this video to introduce you to Toefl Ibt test in case you need it, to understand what it's about, and to see how you can start to prepare for it. Now, Toefl Ibt, that's the internet-based TOEFL. It's an English proficiency test. It tests your English, how good you are at it, and whether you are ready to go to an English-speaking college or university as an international student. So TOEFL, of course, stands for Test of English as a Foreign Language. It's provided by ETS, that's Educational Testing Services. This is an American organization, and it administers this test in addition to other standardized tests. It's accepted by a lot of universities all over the world, 5,000 more or more, and it's administered in more than 180 countries. This is a computerized test. In countries where the internet is still a problem, there's the TOEFL paper test, which is a bit quite different actually. This test tests all 4 language skills, and that's of course reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Okay, so the test has tests the 4 sections or the skills of language. That's reading, listening, speaking, and writing. The test lasts for 4 hours. Again, it's a computerized test. All of it, even the speaking and writing, you have to speak to a microphone connected to a computer. No person, like the IELTS test, for example, and you also write on the computer your essay questions. Okay, the reading has 3 to 5 passages. Each one is 12 to 14 multiple choice questions, about 700 words each, quite long. All of them are academic. We'll talk about the details of that in a minute. This section of the test takes 60 minutes to 100 minutes, depending on how many passages there are. Okay, then there's the listening section. In the listening section, you have 4 to 6 academic lectures, 6 questions for each, and 2 to 3 conversations. All of them are campus situations. Again, we'll talk about the details of this later. 5 questions each, 60 to 90 minutes. Well, usually when the reading section is longer, the listening section will be shorter, and so on. Then you have 5-minute break, and then you have the speaking section. Again, you talk to a microphone attached to a computer. Later on, somebody listens to your presentation. Okay, so the speaking is 6 tasks, 2 independent, 4 integrated. We'll talk about this in detail. Integrated basically means that it's integrated with other skills. So you will read and then listen to a conversation and then answer to a question that asks you to combine information from the reading and from the listening. Okay, so that's the integrated part of it. For writing, you have again 2 essays, 1 integrated task, reading, listening, then writing about what you read and listened to, and then an independent task where you provide your opinion to a simple question, simple and direct questions. And this is the time it takes for each one. Okay, so back to the reading section of the test. The reading section of the test is 3 to 5 passages. 12 multiple choice questions, 700 words, like we said. Where do these come from? They come from all kinds of fields of knowledge. General science, biology, astronomy, philosophy, history, psychology, literature, art, architecture, and others. But the good news is they are introductory level passages. Something you would find in Biology 101 or Astronomy 101. Okay? But still, there's basic terminology that you need to be familiar with, which is really kind of high school level stuff in these fields without detailed information. Okay, so you need to have read something in these fields but not have memorized things. Okay, you need to know what a star is, for example. You need to know what a neuron is, or a proton for biology, neuron, nerve cell, things like that. Basic ideas in psychology, and you need to be actually sophisticated to have considered deep issues in these fields, but not necessarily memorized them. Okay, the questions here are main idea questions or the topic. Okay, so this reading passage is about the Civil War, American Civil War. Okay, what's the main idea? Oh, the Civil War was full of really hard battles. Okay, that might be the main idea. And the topic is the Civil War. Summary questions. In summary questions, you have to choose usually from 6 sentences, maybe more, 3 or 4 sentences that summarize the reading passage. So you need to understand what's a main idea, a major idea, and what's a detail. Okay, and what's not mentioned. Okay, and eliminate those, and include only the main ideas. Stated detail questions. So here you go back to the passage, you find your answer, the same idea but using different words. Unstated information questions. They ask you about something that is not mentioned or not true according to the passage. Inference questions. So here you have information. Based on this, you can reach a conclusion, but this is not a faraway conclusion. It's a direct, unavoidable, absolute conclusion from the information given. Rhetorical purpose questions. So why does the writer talk about this? Oh, to introduce a new point, to support a claim he made earlier, things like that. Vocabulary in context questions. What would this word best be replaced by? The type of questions. Pronoun reference questions. What does this pronoun they, what does it refer to? Okay, so and sentence simplification questions. They highlight a sentence for you, and you want to find a sentence that has a similar meaning, the exact meaning, but usually in a more general way and in a simplified way. Text insertion questions. So they give you a sentence name, they tell you where does it fit, and they give you 4 possible places to include it in, and it has to connect to what's before and what's after. So that's reading. Next we have listening. Okay, so here again 4 to 6 academic lectures, 2 to 3 conversations, all campus situations. The conversations about office hours, right? So a student going to a professor asking some questions about the course, the homework, assignments, and so on. And service encounters, so that's like a student at the library, at the student employment office, registrar's office, asking for information, clarification, having a problem, etc. Where do the lectures come from? From the arts, life science, physical science, social science, pretty much the same kind of stuff you have in reading passages and even in the other passages. Okay, main idea, topic. The types of questions are main idea questions, topic, similar to what's before. Purpose, why does the student go to the professor's office? Detail questions, specific information mentioned in the conversation. The function of what is said, similar to the rhetorical purpose. Why does the professor say this? Is he saying this to point out a mistake the student made, or to encourage students maybe to think again, or to introduce a new point, etc. Speaker's attitude, tone of voice, right? So is he angry? Is he upset? Is he happy? Excited about something? Organization of the talk, of the lecture. Is it chronological or more general to more specific information? Theory, support for that theory, and so on. Connecting information. Classification, comparison, ordering. So they might ask you to order things in chronological order, to do comparison and classification, and these usually involve tables. So you have a table and you have to fit certain information in different parts of that table to show what information fits with different ideas. And finally, making inferences. Again, there's a lot of detail. My later videos, I'll give examples and ideas. I just want to cover the basics in this video. Okay, next is the speaking section. In the speaking section, you have 6 tasks. Pretty tight for preparation. 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 20 seconds. You'd better be ready for this. Okay, personal choice question. Your idea. You come up with the answer. What makes a good neighbor? You have to supply the information. Paired choice. Do you prefer to live in the city or in the countryside, and why? Integrated campus situation. Reading, announcement by the administration of the school about classes, schedules, summer vacation, whatever, parking, and then listening to students talking about the announcement, and then you speak, and basically you summarize both and show how they are connected. Integrated academic lecture, similar, but the reading is academic, the listening is a lecture. You show how these two are connected. You summarize both and you see how they are connected. This might be a theory, and the professor provides some new evidence that contradicts that theory. You have to highlight this relationship. Excuse me. Okay, task 5, integrated problem solution. 2 students talk about a problem. One of them suggests 2 solutions. You have to mention the conversation, what the problem was, the 2 solutions, and you have to present your opinion and justify it. Which one of the 2 is the best solution? Integrated summary of lecture, listening, then speaking. Here, you listen to a lecture and basically you are asked to summarize what you heard. Okay, you're judged based on your delivery, clarity, pronunciation, language use, the words you're using, their clarity, their meaning, their diversity, topic development. Are you presenting deep ideas, especially for, when you present your opinion, do you support your ideas well? With these, do you consider all the relevant details? Integration, that's when you connect reading and listening, for example. Okay, then the writing section. You write 2 essays, 20 minutes for the first one, 30 minutes for the second one. The first one, you read, listen, then write. And this is usually academic reading, like from a textbook, then a professor talking about what the information presented here, providing complementary information, extension, contradiction, presenting new evidence, new theory that shows that this is wrong. And then you, this time, instead of speaking, you have to write. Again, you summarize the reading, summarize the listening, and you show the relationship. Independent task, that's an opinion. Right? Do you agree or disagree with the following? Do you think technology has had a positive effect on people or not? And so on. Okay. Finally, the grading of the test. You get 0 to 30 for each section, adding up to a maximum of 120. Most colleges ask either for 79 or 80 as a minimum cutoff point for admission. And of course, to guarantee admission, you need even a higher score. For scholarships, more like 90, 100, even more. Here's an overview of a sample test from ETS. In this test, the reading, the first passage was about architecture. They defined architecture and discussed essential elements of architecture, and then boom, 13 questions or so. Passage 2, the long-term stability of ecosystems, what contributes to that, right? They define ecosystem stability and what helps it. Passage 3, depletion of the Ogallala aquifer. Water in this aquifer has been being depleted at a fast rate. What efforts to deal with it, and the questions. So this is just to give you a taste of the kind of things you have on the test. Listening, in this particular test from ETS, they had 2 conversations and 4 lectures. Conversation 1, student and receptionist at a registrar's office. The student has a problem. He can't find the classroom. It turns out the whole class was cancelled. He didn't know about it. He should have known about it because they sent emails to everyone. Environmental science passage, loss of animal habitat for animals that require large areas to live, hummingbird. Another lecture, film history, 20s and 30s, a specific French filmmaker and his kind of films. See the diversity of the material. Another conversation after that, student and professor volunteering for an archaeology project on campus to dig up to see what was on campus before it was built. The student is offering to volunteer, conversation with the professor, and then questions. Again, this is the listening section. Then lecture 3, art history class, origins of art. Okay, cave art of Europe, more specifically. Certain caves in France 30,000 years ago. So this is what the reading was about. Lecture 4, astronomy class, the study of spectroscopy, or the study of light emitted from stars. Okay, so you need basic knowledge to deal with these kinds of questions. Speaking, the question from this actual test from ETS, sample test on a CD they sell. Personal choice, what characteristics make someone a good parent? The peer choice question, some students prefer to work on assignments by themselves, themselves, misspelled, while others prefer to work in a group. 15 seconds to prepare, 45 seconds to answer. Not much time. In my later videos, I'll give some examples and help you to improve and deal with the time issue and everything. Reading, listening, hot breakfast being eliminated. This is an announcement. 2 students discussing it, and they are, as you would imagine, not very happy. Your task is to summarize the announcement, summarize what the students say, and that's it, and show how they are connected. Transition well between the summary of the announcement and the summary of the student discussion. 4, this is an academic speaking question. Sociology, reading from sociology about so-called cognitive dissonance, and that's the reading definition of cognitive dissonance. The professor gives an example of such behavior. You have to summarize both and show the relationship. Listening, student invited to a ceremony and has a test at the same time. So what does she do? Her friend suggests 2 solutions, or she actually talks about 2 possible solutions. Her friend tries to help her out with this. You have to summarize the conversation and choose your own preference. I think the solutions are whether she should send someone to the ceremony to receive a gift instead of her, or a prize, or to do a paper instead of going to the test and go to the ceremony herself. You have to choose and recommend one and say why. Okay, that's it. Ask someone to receive it for her, or do a paper instead of the test. Listening, the final speak question, a psychology lecture, and advertising strategies. The professor talks about the importance of repetition in advertisements. You are in your answer, speaking answer. After you listen to this, you have to summarize what the professor said. Okay, again, all of this is speaking. These are speaking questions. Finally, you write 2 essays. Okay, in the first essay, you have to summarize a reading and a lecture about a Rembrandt painting. The reading says this painting probably wasn't his. The professor in the listening provides new evidence that shows that the painting is probably his. You have to write about this, explain this contradiction between the reading and the listening. Just summarize. You're not asked to present your opinion. In the second essay, you present your opinion. The question in this test was, is it more important to keep your old friends than to make new ones? You have to write an essay in 30 seconds. That's the end of this video.